Are you a tabletop gamer and a little bit annoyed, suffice it to say, at the attitudes taken by Gencon this year regarding the whole quartering incident? Maybe by extension, you're a little tired of the slow creep of SJW isms and companies like Wizards of the Coast and other prominent role playing game companies. The little stupid ways they've been adjusting their settings and patting themselves on the back for art choices. And a lot of those times, a lot of the modern books, especially by Wizards of the Coast and Dungeons and Dragons, they waste an awful lot of space on needless art. Art's great and all, but personally, I want setting information and specific details on stuff. So I'm going to suggest, entirely as a unpaid regular person, not at all associated with the company, that you check out palladiumbooks.com. Palladium has been around since at least the early 80s, as far as I know. They survived the collapse of a lot of the role-playing game companies that happened in the late 90s and early 2000s. TSR is gone. Our Talsorian's gone. White Wolf is technically gone. I guess they've changed their name. I'm not entirely clear on what that one was. But Palladium is still Palladium. And in this age of Trump and fervent online outrage and Nazi paranoia and there's all that kind of stuff of companies striving to be politically correct and constantly respond to controversies before they've even been allowed to manifest because someone said something on Twitter with just the right hashtag. I really, for gamers, as maybe kind of specifically as a fuck you also to just the D&D in general, get yourself a copy of Rifts. Rifts is a very cluttered game that's been around for 30 years. There's a lot of meta plots that come with it, and it's already a very complicated setting, and that's very daunting for both new game masters and also for even experienced game masters when trying to convey this monstrosity to new players. Its richness is great, but it's a lot of information to give somebody at one time, and it's easy to misconstrue something because if you end up focusing too much on just one aspect of the risk setting, it's easy to ignore the importance of everything else. It's all this big super collision of multiple genres for those of you who are not familiar with it. Set on a post-apocalyptic Earth that's become the nexus of this interdimensional network of rifts and ley lines, and where magic and super high technology collide, and it's fantastic. And for a long time, the main bad guys, at least for the North American setting, were these human fascists called the coalition states. And for the most part, good guy characters would be kind of a motley crew of mercenaries and magic users and maybe some alien beings and stuff like that. And the coalition, they're pro-humanity. They're against mutations. They're very, very anti-magic, and they're very militaristic and hostile. And part of their whole background is that very specifically are aping some Nazi-isms in both society, propaganda, and just like overall style of how they make their military uniforms and stuff look. But lately, they've done something very interesting that's kind of helped reboot the setting in many ways. There's a new meta plot going on called the Minion War, and the main book for Rifts describes it as a megaverse in flames. Two rival hells are warring across multiple dimensions. It's a little derivative maybe of the Blood Roar, but it's done way more badass and Warhammer 40K-ish in this. And these two hell armies have discovered that, Rift's Earth lies at the center of this interdimensional nexus, and so both of them want control. And because potentially whoever could control it could end up controlling the entire megaverse, the multiverse kind of thing. And Earth is all chopped up. There's like small little like civilizations that have been like rebuilt themselves out of the dust of the cataclysm of the late 21st century, and have all this like alien civilizations that have been stranded there because they were sucked there during the cataclysm. And all this nightmare of a setting, like I said. But now, thanks to the Minion War, they're all under threat from something that everyone has to take, like you have to kind of drop all our current rivalries because this shit's like more important. And emerging from that scenario, the coalition are now the good guys. And so in the age of Trump, you have a role-playing game company that kind of accidentally, but still rather ballsily, has fascist pseudo-Nazis as your main protagonists now for Rifts. And it works really great as a reboot for new players, because since the people who live within the coalition states are kind of kept cut away from the rest of the world and not exposed to much, they don't really have to know that much about the whole setting. So you only have to kind of just give new players the barest bone description of what the coalition remembers of the history of the Cataclysm and their survival, and just kind of generally sum up all the aliens as just, you know, like DBs, and it was slang for dimensional beings. And all magic is evil, and pretty much anything that's not human is a demon kind of thing. And now because of this invasion, they've been recruited, they're now soldiers, and they're being sent off. And through that, they can now discover and be slowly spooled into learning what the Rift world is like. Re-scrambled by this so that you can make it suit your own needs again, because now you could, if there's a kingdom you don't like, you can just wipe it off the mat with these dudes. I mean, it really helps wipe the slate clean. And for a couple different reasons, especially because thematically of having fascists as your good guys, I think it'd be just a wonderful fuck you if some of the game masters and players out there who might get to see this video, to go to palladiumbooks.com, get yourself a copy of Rifts, Coalition States, Heroes of Humanity, and Megaverse in Flames, and have a fascist good time.